And this is all part of that same storm system. So we'll continue to monitor the active weather situation. But on the north side of all of this is where we've been getting some snow. And this will be really significant in some areas. Our meteorologist, Mike Seidel, is live in Worcester, Massachusetts. They say Worcester there. Is that correct, Mike?
Worcester, yeah.
Worcester.
Yeah, that's right, Worcester. And believe it or not, and maybe not hard to believe, Jackie, because of the winter we've had, this is the first winter storm warning in Worcester. They haven't had one in Boston. Boston's under an advisory because their snowfall amounts are going to be less. It puts it in perspective. In fact, this is the first time the Weather Channel has covered snow on the I-95 corridor. Yours truly here, Chris Bruin, down in New York City. Let's talk about the warnings and watches. There they are, covering all the Northeast. And again, this is the most widespread watches and warnings and advisories we've seen this entire winter because it has been so warm. New York City hasn't had their first inch. Here in the Boston-Worcester area, we're running about 30 to 40% of average. So there has been some snow. You can see snow on the ground behind me. They've had about 6 inches here since last Tuesday. So it has gotten cold and snowed a little bit out here in the Worcester Hills, and that's where the higher amounts are going to be, west of 495. Let me show you the radar right now, and you can see that the snow and the rain towards south and west, it's all moving this way. We're going to time it out in this area probably about 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. The air is very dry, so at first when it comes down, the flakes, that'll evaporate. But by, I'd say, midnight to 1 a.m., it will be flaking here on the common here in Worcester. Here's that forecast now. Going through tonight and tomorrow, snow moves in. Now, as we get into the overnight hours, that southeast wind is going to pick up and start to bring warmer air towards the coastal areas. We're talking about Boston. And as we get towards sunrise, the temperatures in Boston are forecast to go above freezing. So that's going to cut down on the accumulations. Right now, we're expecting 2, maybe 3 inches in Boston. But once again, by sunrise and for a rush hour, it'll start to slush up, which is a good thing. Sunrise is 6:30, so 7:38, we get the help from the illumination, the radiation. So it's going to be it's going to be a slushy rush hour in the city. You get out here, it's going to be colder longer. It's going to stay below freezing till at least mid, if not late morning. So more issues on the roadways out here, especially the bridges and overpasses on the Mass Pike. And if you get out to the Berkshires, that's where we could get double-digit snowfall. Out here in Worcester, we're expecting 6 to 8 inches of snow, and it will slowly wind down late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. But by far, the worst rush hour will be in the morning because in the afternoon and evening, temperatures will be safely above freezing across the entire area. We'll keep you updated. The flakes are already falling in New York City. That's right. We'll go back to Chris Bruin down in the city in just a few minutes. Stay with us tonight here on the Weather Channel. Hey, Chris, good evening. The difference here versus New York City is the temperatures. We're at 28 in Worcester versus your 37. Logan at 30, so we're starting off much colder. It will all come down to snow and stay snow for the overnight hours. What happens tomorrow in the morning? The southeast winds take over, and we're looking at temperatures creeping above freezing, just above freezing in the city, in the Boston, right down by the harbor, sometime before sunrise. Out here in Worcester, it's going to take a while longer. 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, it's going to stay below freezing, but we keep, reinforcing this. It's March 1st is 2 days away. This is a pretty potent sun angle, much like the second week of October. So once we get daylight tomorrow, that's going to help the overall travel situation. But again, out west of 495, where we are, the Berkshires, all the roads, and especially the bridges and overpasses, are going to be impacted by snow and ice. Not freezing rain, but just compacted snow. This is the first winter storm warning Worcester has had this season. Can you believe that? They've had about 20 inches of snow, and about a third of that fell last week, since last Tuesday. So it's finally beginning to feel like winter here in Worcester as we get to the last few days of meteorological winter. Meanwhile, in Boston, they've had about 10 inches of snow. They're about 30% season to date. So although the absolute numbers are higher than south of here, they're still running much below average. So we drop into the 20s tonight, upper 20s. The snow arrives in western Mass, the Berkshires, in the next 1 to 2 hours, I think in Worcester, and then points to Boston as late as midnight or 1 a.m. And it will snow through tomorrow. But again, temperatures even out here west of Boston will climb above freezing at some point tomorrow. So again, like Chris said, the morning rush hour here, much more impactful than the PM rush hour across all of the state of Massachusetts. So, Chris, again, it's been one of these wild winters where it can hardly snow because we haven't had any cold air, just is the case tonight there in New York City. It's 5 degrees above freezing, but it is snowing.
It is. And you brought up a good point. You said it was coming in overnight. Had this been the middle of the afternoon, we wouldn't be getting that accumulating snow to happen as quickly. That higher angle this time of the year, the higher sun angle, even if it's cloudy, you still have that light, and that keeps the surfaces above. But because this is timing out with the late evening, overnight, you're getting your accumulating snow to happen at dark. That's what's going to allow for the heftiest accumulation, even with temperatures above freezing.
Yeah, exactly. If this was starting at, say, 7 or 8 in the morning tomorrow, the roads would be basically fine throughout the day. But it's starting overnight. We're going to be down here 26, 27. So it's going to be a very snowy scene, certainly beyond 95 and out here beyond 495 tomorrow morning. But again, through the day, the roads will slush up and then melt off. So again, watch the morning rush hour. The PM rush hour will be fine. And then it does warm up again before the next storm potentially hits here on Friday and Saturday. So we have another one in the pipeline. From Piper, we go to Quest. Chris?
Yeah, and that one may be more impactful for you in Massachusetts, certainly northern New England, than here in New York City. But we still got to work out those details. You know, Mike, the snow, it's not long. Give it an hour or two. Your shot's going to be looking similar to ours, with much quicker accumulation just because of those colder temperatures. So a lot to cover here. Again, not a massive winter storm by New England standards. I know Worcester's seen more snow, but you guys are still running behind. Has it started snowing yet?
It has. Just in the past 5 minutes, our first flakes now coming down. The air is very dry, but look on the radar. It looks like a wall of snow coming in. So I don't think you can see the flakes at home, maybe a few, but it is beginning to flake here a little after 11 Eastern. As expected, we didn't think it would flake before this time, and by the time it gets to Boston, it may be close to midnight. Now in Boston, it's 30. Out here, we've dropped another degree to 26. That's going to make a big difference in the morning because by 5, 6 in the morning, that southeast wind is going to start to push that temperature up. And at Logan Airport, we expect it to jump above freezing before sunrise, which is at about 6:25 a.m. Eastern in the morning. What that means is the totals in Boston, in the city, close to the water, will be lower than out here. This is where we have our warning. And by the way, our first winter storm warning of the entire season. Boston is under an advisory. They both run until 7 p.m. because it will flake throughout the afternoon until, say, 4 or 5 o'clock. But in both locations, whether you're in town or out here beyond 495, by that point, by 2 or 3 o'clock, the temperatures will be safely above freezing. And what we're looking at accumulation-wise after lunchtime is minimal, maybe another half an inch here in Worcester. So the impactful rush hour will be the AM rush hour. The PM rush hour will be in much better shape. But as Chris mentioned, this is going to be the biggest snowstorm of the season in Worcester. Our biggest daily total is 4 inches. And in Boston, I believe the highest they've had one day with more than 2 inches of snow. You see the snow on the ground behind me. This all fell since last Tuesday. In fact, the past week here has felt more like winter than any other week, really, the entire season. We've had some Arctic outbreaks like we had a few weeks ago. In fact, the coldest temperature since the mid-50s. Boston dropped to 10 below zero, and then that Arctic outbreak around Christmas. But otherwise, it's been very mild and virtually not snow-free, but not many inches in Boston. About 10 so far. We've had about 20 out here, and you can probably see the flakes now starting to fly here in the Worcester Hills. So as we go on through the evening and overnight and into tomorrow morning, look for the snowfall to add up because the ground is cold, the temperatures are cold, and we could see an inch an hour at times.
All right. Well, we will see your reports as the snow comes down as we head through the day tomorrow. Thank you very much, Mike Seidel.